Gandang umaga po. Hopefully, naririnig niyo ako. Alright. 8th day ng ating lecture. Alright. Before anything else, what do we need? Well, I have to check on your comments. Comments nga kayo para malaman ko kung nadidinig niyo ako. Nakita niyan? Share ko to Share ko na screen ko. Alright. Comments please here. Kita niyo ba yan? Oh. Dami nyo na pala dyan. Sus Mariosep. Alright. Balik tayo sa akin. Kailangan lang alam nyo na ako ay masyadong busy. Kaya ito, humaba na nga ang buhok sa dami ng ginagawa. You should know that, of course, associate professor ako sa UP. And dapat ang regular load namin ay 4 na klase lang. Ako, ang klase ko, 6. Yan. Pagkatapos, syempre, kita nyo naman ako pag mag-lecture, hindi pwedeng yung basta-basta lang mag-i-slideshow na nakakatulog na kayo. Now, iba ang trabaho ng teacher pagka online, maraming tools na ginagamit na kung ano, hindi katulad nung sa face-to-face. Pagdating mo sa UP, punta ka lang sa classroom, tapos ang usapan, tuloy-tuloy na. And in addition to my work as associate professor, ako ay board member ng 2 schools. Yung isa, Batangas Eastern Colleges, tinayo yan ng aking maternal grandmother noong 1940. Yung isa naman, Tayabas Western Academy. Tayabas was the name of Quezon Province, which used to be Quezon, Aurora, and Quirino. Yung 3 probinsya na yon, ang tawag dati dyan, together ay Tayabas. Yung aming school, tinayo 1928. Tinayo ng aking maternal grandfather. Mali pala, no? Sabi ko kanina. Batangas Eastern Colleges, tinayo ng aking paternal grandmother. Yan. Yung Tayabas Western Academy, tinayo ng aking maternal grandfather. Pareho kong board member niyan. I'm a 4th generation teacher. Awa ng Diyos, teacher pa rin. Alright? Hindi lang yan trabaho ko. Alright? Member ako, chairman ako ng Environmental Impact Assessment Review Committee. Para sa buong Pilipinas lang naman. Ako ay member ng committee na yan simula noong 1991, panahon ni Cory Aquino, hanggang ngayon. Although, floating status yata ako dahil yung committee ko hindi na-activate ni President Duterte. Galit sa akin. Bahala siya. But I still have work to do. For example, yung mga reclamation projects sa Manila Bay, 2 of them are still under my authority. Our committee's responsibility. Merong reclamation dyan sa Cebu. Naku, malaking reclamation and pinoproblema ko. Tapos, syempre gusto naman natin ng Pilipinas maging competitive. So, isa ako sa mga nagtayo ng information communication technology na grupo na into artificial intelligence lang naman. And as you will see later, we have a project trying to help our society overcome the outbreak. So meron kaming tawag namin Project Moses. Hindi ko alam, siguro yung iba sa inyo nakita na yan sa website namin or kung saan. But anyway, and so many other things to do. Yan lang sabihin natin yung binanggit ko sa inyo 60%. 60% lang. Alright, so pag minsan makikita ninyo ako scattered brain, alright? Lahat talaga ng propesor at saka lahat talaga ng mga seryosong pilosopo, scattered brain. Pero ako, lamang ako sa pagiging scattered brain dahil nga ang daming ginagawa. Ha, pasensya na kayo. Okay, lagay natin, ha? Gandang umaga po. Ayan, kompleto na tayo. Ay, hindi pa pala. Kulang pa tayo ng 4. Mariosip naman. Okay, tuloy na natin. Una muna, remember, meron tayong, meron tayong attendance. Alright, hindi naman kayo mamamatay dahil ng attendance na yan. Alright. Okay, nasaan na yun? Alam ko meron akong ginawang attendance eh. Dali nahanap ko. Naloko na. Teka nga, habang hinahanap ko yung attendance, mag-mentimeter muna kayo. Alright, habang hinahanap ko yung attendance natin, mag-mentimeter muna kayo, ha? Ginawa ko na nga yung attendance na yun eh. Mentimeter. Yan, ha? Sagutin nyo yan. Nakita nyo ba? Alright. Ayusin natin yan, ha? Numbers. Okay, sandali lang. Okay, sagutin nyo, ha? Yan, may sumagot na agad. Kagaling. Very good. Alright, meanwhile, habang sinasagot nyo, hanapin ko yung yung ginawa kong attendance sheet. May ginawa akong attendance sheet eh. Nakakainis naman. Ginawa ko na nga eh. Sunod ba yun? Well, mamaya na yung attendance. Mas importante yung diskusyon natin eh. Hindi ko makita eh. Alright, Mentimeter ha. Oy, numbers are real. Totoo ba yan? Yes. Alright, 11. Yes. Wow, 3 lang ang no. May isa no answer. Okay. Sige nga. Alright. Nahuling sumagot yung iba. Sige, bantayan natin. Meanwhile, habang sumasagot yung iba, nakita nyo ha, pinakita ko sa inyo yung ating results last time. Nakita nyo ba? Nasaan na ba yun? Interesting results. Alright. Tingnan nyo to. What we do when we reason. 3 words that each indicate. Ang laki-laki nung nakasulat, understand. Very good. Understanding. When you reason, when you are reasonable, you understand. You explain, you think. Nakita nyo, meron kayong kahit paano unanimity about reasoning. It is about understanding. May unanimity. Yan, dominant eh. Pero tingnan nyo itong isa. Pagdating dito sa mga Pilipinos at large, ang liit lang nung unanimity, ang baba ng inyong unanimity. Tanyo, ang liit-liit lang nung argue. Argue pa, away. Tanong nyo. Alright? In other words, pagdating sa pangangatwiran mo, ang mga Pilipino in general, hindi maliwanag, At ramdam nyo yan, alright? Balik tayo dito sa Mentimeter natin. Okay? Next slide. Next slide na ako, ha? Yan, numbers represent some measurement or magnitude. Yes, no answer. Sige nga, sagot. Yes, no answer. Oop, may isa yes agad. Naku, ang dami. Puro yes. Walang outlier. Naloko na. Mas exciting pag merong outlier eh. Dapat meron tayong mga subversives, mga radical. Sige na nga. Sige. Everybody says numbers represent some measurement or magnitude. Oh, sige na nga. Okay, dami na yan. Pwede na. Next slide. Three words that indicate how I am aware of the role in my life. Naku, nagkamali pa ako. Of contradictions, ha? Huwag niyo nang pansinin yung period, ha? Matanda na tayo, eh. Pag minsan, eh, yung mata natin, eh, hindi nakikita. Akala ko, dumi lang yan, eh. Yung pala, period. No, tinapay. Alright. Ay, ano nangyari dito? Three words. Nag-iisip kayo. Sige na nga. Wala pa. Walang sumasagot. Hindi nyo alam kung ano ibig sabihin ng mga contradiction sa buhay nyo. Skip na lang natin kung ayaw nyo sagutin. Uy, reasoning, opposition, argument. Alright, very good. Has to do with reasoning, has to do with arguments. Very good. Opposition, of course. Kaya nga contradiction, eh, may opposition. Very good. Sagutin nyo yan, ha? Ito yung isa pang tanong, eh. Filipinos are aware of the role in their lives of contradictions. Eh, may period na naman, nakakainis. Ano ba nangyayari dyan sa period na pakalat-kalat? Alright, Filipinos are aware of the role in their lives of contradictions. Woot, woot. Alam kaya nila. Pag palagay ko, no. Maliwanag agad. No. Ay, may yes. Talaga, at least very good, ha? Meron tayong, no answer. Meron tayong opposition. Yan, meron tayong counterpoint. But most of you are saying no, and many of you are saying no answer. Well, not a problem with me. Whoops, whoops. Oy. Ganda yan. Maganda yung distribution natin. Nakikita nyo ba? Tingnan natin. Yan. Nakikita nyo, ang ganda ng distribution. Very good. Tanyo, normal curve. Parang normal curve. Pwede na yan. Balik tayo, sa atin. Baka nami-miss nyo na ako, eh. Food for thought lang, ha? Food for thought. Kung numbers are forms of measurement or magnitude and they are real, like tables and chairs, anong klaseng magnitude yung ganito? Halimbawa, 22 over, ano nga ba yung value ng pi? Alright, anybody who still remembers the value of the pi? Alright. 3, anong klaseng measurement yung 3.141, etc. Walang katapusan. Anong klaseng measurement yan? Alright. What kind of measurement, ulitin ko, ipapakita ko sa inyo. Okay, share natin. What kind of measurement is this? Alright? 22 over 7. Which is of course 3.14, etc. Palagay ninyo. Irrational. Alright. Tama. Very good. Tama. Irrational. Alam niyo ibig sabihin na irrational? Sa Tagalog. Sa Pilipino. Hindi pala Tagalog. Sa Pilipino. Irrational, ibig sabihin, sira. What kind of measurement is 22 over 7? Sira. Bakit? Ay, anong klaseng sukat yung hindi ganito, pero hindi ganyan? Pero medyo ganito, pero medyo ganyan. Naloko na. Gaano katangkad si Mahal? Alay, di 3 dangkal. Yung artista, si Mahal, 3 dangkal lang yun, eh. 1, 2, 3. Alright? At least masasabi ko kung gaano siya katangkad, o anong magnitude niya. Paano yung sukat na, ang sukat ganito, pero ganyan. Pero hindi ganito, pero hindi rin ganyan. Pero medyo ganito, pero medyo ganyan. Naloko na tayo. Alright? Anong klaseng sukat yung square root? Alright? Square root of -1. Square root of -1. Ay, mali. Alright. Anong klaseng measurement yan? Kaya nyo ilagay yan sa Cartesian coordinate system? Paano na? Alright? Yan. So, meron tayong sukat. Alright? Sukat. Panukat. Dangkal. Meron tayong sukat na tawag natin sira. Meron tayong sukat na ang tawag natin kung hindi man sira, ay ano, haka-haka. Anong sukat yan? Haka-haka. Alright? Di ba? Masaya. Babalikan natin yan. Oh, napaka-importante ng mga tanong na yan. Alright? Mga pilosopo, sira talaga ulo eh. Alright? Alright. Tama, imaginary, Mr. Pascual, San Pascual. Alright? Miss Makulat, imaginary, Mr. Pelayo. Alright, Miss Guzman, Garfin. Alright, tama kayo, Ricardo. Romulo, ang galing nyo ha, imaginary. Eh yun na nga, ay di imaginary. Mr. Andal, Mr. Renya, ay yun na nga ibig sabihin, haka-haka. O ngayon, subukan nyo manukat ng haka-haka ang gamit ninyo, paano? Alright, balik tayo sa usapan ha. Okay, balik muna tayo sa ating blackboard ika nga or anong tawag natin, Jamboard. Nabanggit natin na merong classification, we can classify, alright? We can classify arguments, di ba? We classify arguments, alright? How do we classify arguments? Well, sabi natin, may arguments na ano, ang tawag natin ay deductive. O, isa yan. Alright, may deductive tayo. Meron tayong inductive. Alright? Inductive arguments. Tama? Yan. So, nakaklasify natin ng arguments. Alright, we make a distinction between this and this. Similarly, we can also classify sentences. Alright? We can also classify sentences. Paano? Yan. Actually, galing din to kay kay Aristotle. Sabi ni Aristotle, may mga sentences known to be true or false. Alright? Sabi ni Aristotle, may mga sentences known to be true or false by way of, ito halimbawa, this board is white. Alright? Anong klaseng sentence yan? Kakaiba yan dito sa sentence na ito. Alright? 1 plus 1 equals 2. Alright? Magkaiba yan. Now, si Aristotle nga, kung natatandaan nyo, sabi ni Aristotle, itong deductive reasoning, yan ay larangan ng theoretical philosophy, sabi niya, di ba? Theoretical philosophy. At sabi niya, ito namang inductive reasoning, larangan ng practical philosophy. Nabanggit ko yan, ewan kung natatandaan nyo. Alright, larangan ng practical philosophy. Although kinulang tayo ng oras kung pinag-uusapan natin yan. Alright? Anong sabi natin? Pag deductive reasoning, the relationship between the premises and conclusion is what? A matter of necessity, di ba? A matter of necessity. Yan. Pagka naman inductive reasoning, the relationship between the premises and conclusion, ang tawag natin, a matter of probability. Alright? Probability. Okay. Hirap magsulat na gamit mo mouse Alright. Now, tingin kayo rito, makikita ninyo, we can also make a distinction between this kind of sentence and this kind of sentence. Bakit? Alright? Kasi this kind of sentence, known to be true or false by observation. Yan. Alright? Observation. O, yan ang ginagamit natin dito. Now, tanong, how do you know this board is white? eh di nakita mo, alright, kung gusto mo, tikman mo pa. Alright, pisil-pisilin mo, amuyin mo, but you observe. That's what the point. That's the point. Dito naman, tanong, na-observe mo ba yung 1 at saka 2? Nakakita na ba kayo ng 1 at 2 naglalaro, nagpipiko doon sa inyong backyard? O kaya naglalakad sa karsada? No such thing, alright? Okay? Walang ganyan, di ba? So, ang tanong, paano mo nalalaman if 1 plus 1 equals 2? Alright. It has to do with, well, for the moment, let's talk about it in this way. It has to do with syntax. Alright? It has to do with form. It has to do with syntax, form, it has to do with the patterns involved. Patterns that we are able to know thanks to what? Thanks to mathematical know-how. Alright? Now, for our purposes, yung know-how na yan, tawagin nating conceptual analysis. Alright? In other words, ulitin natin ano ba yung sabihin ng known by way of syntax or by way of form or by way of analysis of patterns? Well, for our purposes, we will just say conceptual analysis. Yan. Ay, nawala. Conceptual analysis. Dali, sulat natin yan. Conceptual analysis. In other words, pag tinignan nyo itong 1 plus 1 equals 2, this is actually a sentence. Alright? This is actually some kind of a sentence. Alright? Now, this sentence, of course, is composed of words. Alright? Alright? And if it is composed of words, then you have concepts involved per word. Yes? And then what you need to do is you look at the sentence and look at the concepts involved and how they relate to one another according to the rules of syntax or according to the patterns that are your convention, according to the forms that are your convention given your language. In our case, it is the language of mathematics. Alright? Yung mathematics may kanyang syntax governing the forms that are allowable for you to be able to construct sentences. Alright? And it is the concepts of the terms within the sentence that you try to look at within your sentence so that you can see whether the rules involved in your language are not violated. And ergo, tanong, how do you know 1 plus 1 equals 2? Via what we call conceptual analysis. Alright? Conceptual analysis. Alright? In other words, walang kinalaman sa use of the senses. Dito naman, ang tawag natin dito, this board is white. Ayan ang ating ginagamit ay observation. Alright? You use your senses. So magkaiba. Dito, conceptual analysis. Dito, observation. Yung sentences, ito na ngayon yung classification. Alright? Yan yung classification. Pinag-uusapan natin, Yung sentences known to be true or false by observation, sabi ni Aristotle, ang kulit nito si Aristotle, di ba? Alright, sabi niya, those sentences known to be true or false by observation, ang tawag dyan, empirical sentences. Alright? Alright, what are they? Known to be true or false by way of observation. Yan. Pero, meron namang sentences, na hindi known to be true or false by observation. Ang tawag natin sa kanila, analytic sentences. Yan. Bakit analytic? Ginagamitan mo nga ng conceptual analysis, di analytic. Alright? Ano yung analytic sentences? Known to be true or false. Known to be true or false by way of conceptual analysis. Alright? Yan. Now, ito, itong distinction na ito, nagmamatch doon sa earlier distinction natin. Ano yung earlier distinction natin? May distinction tayo between what? Mundo ng practical philosophy. Remember? Practical philosophy. Alright? Ano yan? Mundo yan ng ano? Mundo rin yan ng inductive reasoning. Ay, mali. Okay, balik natin. Alright, mundo ito ng ano? Inductive reasoning. Alright? Yan ang mundo ng science. Yan ang mundo ng empirical sciences. Itong analytic sentences ay ano, mundo ng, and you can guess, theoretical philosophy. Alright? Theoretical philosophy yan. And ang ginagamit dito, as you can guess, hindi pa na you can guess, you already know, deductive reasoning, alright? Yan. Very good. Alright? Sino nagsabi niyan? Ay di si Aristotle, ang kulit nga no? Ayaw tayong pabayaan Alright, sino may sabi? Aristotle, yan. Okay. Very good. Now, sabi ni Aristotle, dapat ito gawin nating systematic. Alright? Gawin nating systematic or gawin nating methodical. Yan, methodical. Yan. Pero mamaya natin babalikan, ha? Now, one more point. You can also distinguish between not only empirical and analytic sentences, meron pang isang classification. Alright? Another classification. Another way of classifying. Classifying what? Sentences. Ano yan? Ito nga, ginagawa natin. Sandali So, ano yan? Well, ito. Kanina, 1, 2, di ba? Ngayon, gagawin natin 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Ano yung 1, 2, 3 na klase ng mga sentences? Well, we have sentences that are always true. Totoo ba may sentences always true? Always true. By virtue of form. Alright? Halimbawa, if it rains, then it rains. Kahit na anong mangyari, true yan. Whether you're dead or alive, in heaven on earth, alright, awake or asleep, it does not matter. It will always be true. Tama? Yan. At meron namang sentences na sometimes true, sometimes false, depending on the situation. Alright? Sabihin natin na contingently true. Contingently true. Question, ano bang ibig sabihin ng contingent? Tingnan natin sa net. Meaning of contingent. Meaning of contingent. Sigurado, no? Alright, contingent. Subject to chance. Alright, nakita nyo, adjective. Subject to chance. Yan ang gusto sabihin ng contingent. Alright? Kita? Yan. And sinasabi natin, may mga sentences true by chance. Halimbawa, Halimbawa lang. Alright? Ano yung halimbawa natin kanina? Well, we said kanina, this board is white. Alright? That's an example of a contingently true sentence. Alright? Pagka nandun ka sa classroom, halimbawa sa Palmo Hall, room 222, yung board doon, white. Alright? And so when you say the sentence, this board is white, then the sentence becomes true under that condition. Na nandun sa Palmo Hall, room 222. Pero kung sinabi mong this board is white, doon sa classroom namin, okay, grade 1, ng tinapay, hindi pa usong whiteboard nun eh. Ang uso nun eh, blackboard. At saka, hindi green board yung sa amin nun, black talaga, kaya tawag blackboard. Alright? So, pag sinabi mong this board is white, doon sa classroom namin, nung ako'y grade school, doon sa probinsya, the sentence is false. Alright, so, this sentence here can be contingently true or false depending on the situation. It's a matter of the situation, it's a matter of chance. Alright? Pagkakataon lang. So, merong sentence always true, merong sentence contingently true. Alright? Contingently true lang. Merong sentence weird. Bakit weird? Alright? Parang yung mga anak ni Duterte, 'di ba? Weird looking noong mga bago pa naging opisyal si Duterte, 'di ba? Mga weirdo. Okay, nakita niyo ba yung litrato nila, yung kalbo si Sara Duterte? Alright? So, etong sentence na sinasabi kong weird, ganito, ang tawag natin true and false at the same time, in the same breath. Alright? Parang gwapo siya, pero pangit siya. Alright? Parang, anong klaseng sentence yun, di ba? Halimbawa, anong sentence na true and false at the same time? Kahirap mag-isip. Balik tayo dito. Anong sentence yung true and false at the same time? Well, self-contradicting sentences. Halimbawa, yan. Alam niyo ba sa Bible may sinulat si St. Paul, sabi ni St. Paul, yung mga negosyante, maraming sinungaling diyan kaya mayaman yan eh. Sabi ni St. Paul, yung mga negosyanteng mga Greeks, lalo diyan sa Crete, di ba? Remember Crete, bayan ng mga traders, sabi niya, yung mga Cretans, mga sinungaling yan eh. Ito ngayon yung tanong, alright? Cretans are liars. Alright? So, if Cretans are liars, ano ngayon? Supposing ako yung Cretan. Alright? So, I'm a liar. If I'm a liar, whatever I say is a lie. Yes? So, di ba? So, what have I just said? I have just said, I am a liar. Alright? So, because I am a liar, what I say is a lie. And what did I say? I am a liar. So, I am a liar, the sentence is false because I'm a liar. If it is false, then that means I am not a liar. Because I am not a liar, what happens? I just lied. And because I lied, what am I now? I'm a liar. Alright? And because I'm a liar, naku, naloko na. Nagpaikot-ikot na. Alright? Okay, tandaan nyo to ha. Cretans are liars. Paano ka na? Alright? Isang malaking kahibangan. Alright, anyway, for our purposes, bibigyan natin ng pangalan ha. Bigyan natin ng pangalan yung mga pinag-uusapan natin. Pagka ang sentence mo ay always true, anong tawag natin dyan? Alright, pag always true, ito. Ang tawag natin dyan ay tautologus or tautology. Ay, ano tayo sumulat? Yan. Tautology. Tautology. Yan. Alright, tautology. Pagka always true. Pagka sometimes true, sometimes false, itong number 2, alright? Pagka ganyan, ang tawag natin ay, ano? Well, ang tawag natin contingent sentence. Kasi contingently true lang di ba? So, contingent sentence. Ayan. Contingent sentence. Alright? Yan. Ay, okay. Yan. Alright? Pagka naman ito, true and false at the same time in the same breath, anong tawag dyan? Ang tawag dyan, sira. Alright, ang tawag dyan, ito. Bigyan natin ng pangalan ha, para wag makalimutan. Alright, ang tawag dyan, contradiction. Alright? So now we have a classification ng ano? Tatlong klaseng sentences. Tautology, contingent, contradiction. Now, dito sa ating original na classification, anong original nating classification? Ito. Ayan. Alright? Ito rin. Alright? Mapapansin ninyo, itong tautology at saka contradiction, they are known to be true or false by way of conceptual analysis. Known to be true or false by way of conceptual analysis. How do you know it is a tautology? You analyze. If it rains, then it rains. It's always true. Why? By virtue of the form of the sentence. Yung contradiction, you know it is a contradiction by virtue of, well, saka na muna natin pag-usapan, has something to do with your syntax din, ha? Ito namang contingent sentences, ay ano, mapapansin ninyo, ay empirical. So, related yung dalawang classification natin. Alright? Related sila. Okay. Now, ang gusto natin to be in control of our destinies. Alright? How do we get to be in control of our destinies? Well, first we reflect upon the realities of our lives. Alright? First, we reflect upon the realities of our lives. Alright? You have a tree, and then you have your pet kalabaw. Alright? Yan na naman yung pet kalabaw natin. And you have your mountains, and your rice fields, you know, those things. And the birds and the bees, you remember. And then you think about all of this in your mind. Alright? And so we reflect. And when we reflect them in our minds, they get to be represented in our minds using our sentences. Alright? Using our sentences, our thoughts. How do you express your thoughts? You express your thoughts in terms of your sentences. Alright? What's the sentence? There's a tree on the yard. What's the sentence? There are birds above the rice fields. Alright? What's the sentence? There's a pet carabao in the backyard. Alright? Ito yung bahay mo. May backyard ka. Nandun yung kalabaw sa likod. Alright? So, you express your thoughts in your sentences. Alright? So, ito yun. Alright? And marami sila in your mind. There are many sentences in your mind. You keep them because you believe them. Alright? You believe that this board is white. You believe that for all free falling bodies, F equals ma. Now, this is the problem. Every once in a while, you encounter a contradiction in your mind. Problema. So, every once in a while, you will encounter some contradiction or contradictions with your S. O, paano ngayon ang gagawin natin? Ay, naku, naloko na. Hindi pala naka-share, naloko na. O, balik tayo ha. Okay, share ko ngayon. Okay, balik tayo sa pinag-usapan natin kanina. What do we do as philosophers or as human beings? All right? What we do as human beings, we reflect. All right? We reflect about our world. All right? So you have here your world on the right and you have your mind on the left. And as you reflect, you represent your world in your mind in terms of sentences. All right? Now, these sentences can be about, like I said, your thoughts about your house and your pet kalabaw, etc. All right? And there are many sentences in your mind. All right? There are many sentences in your mind. Okay? And sometimes your sentences in your mind will contradict each other. That's the point. All right? Now, hindi ko alam kung nakita niyo ito kanina, pero ituloy na natin. Ito nga ang sinasabi natin. Alright? While, uulitin ko lang ha, just to make sure. While we distinguish between empirical sentences, mundo ng practical philosophy at saka induction, and analytic sentences, mundo ng theoretical philosophy at deductive reasoning, alright? We can also distinguish between three kinds of sentences. Ano yun? Nabanggit ko nga kanina. Sentences that are always true. Ito yun. Alright? Let me highlight that. Sentences that are always true. Okay? Ano yan? Ito. Ay, mali. Sentences that are always true. Yan, ito. Always true. We call them tautologies or tautology. Always true. Ito yung isa. No? Meron pang isa. Tawag natin contingently true. Contingently true sentences like the sentence, this board is white. It's only contingently true depending on the situation. Alright? At meron tayong sentences that are what? Contradictions. Yan. And sabi natin, alright, anong sabi natin? Contradictions and tautologies are analytic sentences. Ulitin natin ha, dagdagan ko na nga to. Sorry na-disgrasya na naman yung ating sharing ng screen. So lumalabas ang ating empirical sentences known to be true or false by way of observation ay another way of looking at them, they are what? Contingent sentences. Alright? Pero, on the other hand, meron pa tayong sabi natin kanina, analytic sentences. Analytic sentences. Alright? Ay yung analytic sentences natin, sabi ko rin kanina, dalawang klase. There are your tautologies, known to be true all the time by way of their form, and your contradiction. Alright? Or contradictions. Alright? Tautologies and contradictions are both analytic sentences. You know them to be tautologies, you know them to be contradictions by analyzing the sentence. Alright? Analyzing the sentence, its meaning and its meaning in terms of syntax and semantics. Alright, so merong empirical sentences, merong analytic sentences. Mundo ng inductive reasoning, mundo ng deductive reasoning. Ito nga yung punto, nabanggit ko kanina. Alright? Nabanggit ko kanina. When we reflect upon our world, ito, our thoughts come in the form of sentences. Ayun ang mabigat doon. And because they come in the form of sentences, then there's always the possibility that what? Some of those will contradict each other. Yan. Okay. Now, anong nangyayari Pag may contradiction, balik tayo sa akin. Ako, sana huwag kong makakalimutan na ano. Pag may contradiction, ito halimbawa, yung isang presidente natin, kunyari si Erap, sabi niya doon sa isang babae, ikaw at ikaw lamang ang mahal ko. Ayos ang buto-buto, di ba? Sabi niya doon sa isa pa, ay ikaw at ikaw lamang ang mahal ko. Naku, naloko na. Tapos may dinagdag pa, ikaw at ikaw lamang ang mahal ko. Tapos nagdagdag pa na isa, ikaw at ikaw lamang mahal ko, ay kadami. Ngayon, di maliwanag, may contradiction. Alright? Yung bawat sabi niya na ikaw lamang ang mahal ko, ay nagko-contradict sa ibang sabi niya. Sinabi niya, nasanay sa mundo ng contradiction. Ang isip ay punong-puno ng contradiction. Alright? Sinasabi na, kakalabanin natin yung mga Chino na yan, mag-jet ski ako, pero kakaibiganin natin Alright? Pag nasanay ka sa contradiction, yung isip mo punong-puno ng contradiction, what will happen? Ay nangyari kay Erap. Nangyari kay Erap? Sabi ni Erap, I can tell you, trust me, as the president, our economy is going in this direction. Sabihin natin, pakaliwa. Ay, pardon the expression. Puta na pumunta no sa kanan. Nagka-leche-leche ang Pilipinas, nagka-EDSA 2. And he ends up in jail. Alright? That's the problem. What's the problem? If your system is full of contradictions, alright? Pag ang isipan mo, puno ng contradiction, ay, break na nga tayo dito. So, pag ang sistema mo ay maraming contradiction, naloko na. Yan, sulat natin. Yan. Pag ang sistema mo, padami ang contradiction, yung iyong prediction, pababa naman ng chances na tatama. Alright? Ano yung pinag-uusapan natin? Prediction of the future. How do you have control over your destiny when you predict about the future? Siyempre, kaya nga destiny mo future. Alright? Predictions are not reliable if your predictions are founded on a system that's full of contradictions. Alright? Pagdami ng contradiction sa buhay, pagdami ng contradiction mo sa system mo, ito nga, siya namang less reliable ang iyong prediction. Yan ang experience sa pamimilosopiya. Yan ang experience sa information technology, information communication technology system. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, meron kaming kumpanya niyan, Yan ang experience ng science. Pag ang Newtonian physics ay isang katutak na ang contradictions ay nakikita na contradiction, nakikita mo na rin yung prediction hindi nagtatama. Ay, kamali na naman talaga naman. Balik tayo sa usapan. Pakakainis. Dito natin. Duting ko lang yan. Pag marami ang contradiction, ang ibig sabihin, ito naman yan. Pag marami ang contradiction, ang ibig sabihin, bababa ang iyong reliability ng iyong predictions. Magpipredict ka, pag maraming contradiction yung iyong nasa isipan, yung prediction mo hindi nangyayari. Alright? So, gusto natin yung ating thoughts walang contradictions, alright? Para maging reliable ang ating prediction of the future. Yun ang gusto natin. Alright? Kaya anong sabi ko nga sa inyo, yung mga pilosopo ay addict sa coherence Remember, sinabi ko yan? Salamat kay Pythagoras. Sabi ni Aristotle, yan ngayon, balik tayo kay Aristotle, alright? Kasi nandito tayo sa mundo ng deduction. Alright? Mundo ng deduction. Ano yung mundo ng deduction? Mundo ng analytic sentences. Kasi si Aristotle, mahilig din sa mathematics. Alright? Amazed na amazed siya sa ginagawa ni Pythagoras at saka kanyang mga followers ni Pythagoras. Yung gustong mangyari ni Aristotle, ito na yung Aristotelian logic, sabi niya, gawin nating systematic ang deduction. Para mas makikita natin kung papaano yung ating mga nasa isipan nagtatagpo-tagpo. Alright? Marami tayong sangkatutak na nasa isipan eh. Pagkita natin kung paano sila nagtatagpo-tagpo technically, pagkita natin mathematically, alright? Pagkita natin, then makikita natin yung yung contradiction, alright? Papaano nyo nakikita yung contradiction? Eh di syempre, ang gagawin mo, yung lahat ng nasa isipan mo, pagdudugtong-dugtungin mo, alright? Pagtatagpo-tagpuin mo. That's the only way na malalaman mo na yung isang nasa isip mo ay ay nagko-contradict doon sa isang nasa isip mo. Alright? In other words, you try to establish the deductive relationships. Alright? We'll call them deductive relationships. Yan. Or, if you like, deductive connections. Yan, connections. Alright? Hindi ito connection ng mga politiko, ha? Yung usapan natin deduction ng reasoning. Alright? Yan. Sabi ni Aristotle, alright, ulitin natin ha, sabi ni Aristotle, para malaman natin kung ano yung contradiction sa ating isipan, ay i-identify natin yung mga deductive relationships, i-identify natin yung mga deductive connections. Yan ang takbo ng usapan. Alright? Aristotelian logic. Alright? Aristotelian logic, ang unang-unang systematic way of trying to establish how you get to end up with a coherent mindset. With a coherent mindset systematically. Alright? Yan. Now, balik tayo sa logic. Yung term logic comes from the Greek expression logoi, which itself is a derivative of the word logos. O ano naman yan? Naloko na. Alright? Anong ginawa ni Aristotle? Umimbento siya ng discipline. Anong tawag sa discipline? Logic. Alright? Umimbento siya ng disiplina. Ang tawag, logic. Yung pag-aaral, alright? Yung kasi sabi natin, ano bang gusto natin gawin? Mag-aral tayo. Alright? Ng yung arguments. Anong klaseng arguments? Deductive arguments. Alright? At anong gusto natin gawin? Sabi natin, gawin natin systematic. Alright? Kasi pag nagawa natin systematic, makikita natin kung ano-ano yung mga contradiction sa isipan natin. Alright? Now, yung proseso na yan, tawag natin logic. Yung pag-aaral na yan. Alright? Logic comes from the word logoi, which is a derivative of the word logos. Ayan. Ngayon, paliwanag ko ang ibig sabihin ng logos. Alright? Logos. Marami ibig sabihin ng logos, pero in the particular case na gusto nating bigyan ng pansin, ay yung logos, meaning to say word. Alright? In Greek, logos can literally mean word. Alright? Logos means word. Now, for a Greek to use a word to identify something is to use that word to identify some specific pattern or form. Alright? Specific pattern or form. Alright? Bakit? Ulitin natin. For the ancient Greek, to use a word is to identify that word to use a word is to identify something which has a specific pattern or form. Alright? Halimbawa, you use the word chair because it has a specific pattern or form different from something which is a table. Alright? Why do you call it a table? Because it has a specific form that is different from the form of a chair. Alright? Why do you say female? Kasi specific form yung female compared sa other word, male. Alright? Now, so logos means word. And logoi literally means form or pattern. Yan. Ang gusto kong sabihin, para sa Greek, the word word, alright, in Greek, is very much related to the word form or pattern. To the word form. Sa English, hindi eh. Sa Pilipino, hindi. Sa English, hindi. Sa Pilipino, hindi. Hindi close ang relationship ng dalawa. Pero sa Greek, very close. Alright? Now, logos means word. Logoi means pattern or form. Logic, ito na tayo, means study of pattern or form. Ayan. Alright. So, nalaman nyo na ha. Alam nyo na ha. Hindi ko na ulitin. Logos means word. You use a word to identify pattern of something. Now, pattern is logoi. The study of pattern is logic. Ayan. O, di maliwanag. Alright? Logos. Logoi. Logic. Alright? Now, logic usually is expressed with the capital L if you mean the discipline. Alright? Discipline. Alright? Yun ang ibig sabihin yan. If you mean the discipline, you use the capital L. But if you mean generically study of form, then you just use logic with a lowercase l. Logoi, sabi nga natin, means what? Form. Logos means, sabi nga natin, what? Word. O, yan. Ayos. So now, meron tayong, yung unang-unang uri ng pag-aaral ng form of how we reason. Alright? Pag ang pag-uusapan natin is study of form of what? Reasoning. As in deductive reasoning. Alright? Ang tawag natin dyan, the discipline of reasoning. Alright? Pag-aaral ng form of reasoning, edi yun yung discipline of logic. Alright? Now, ang unang-unang gumawa ng pag-aaral ng form of reasoning ay sino? Si Aristotle. Aristotle, yan. Kaya ang tawag natin dun sa kanyang ginawa, Aristotelian logic. Alright? Aristotelian logic. Very good. Alright? Tingnan natin, nasi-share ko ba? Okay. Whew! Buti na lang. Alright? Aristotelian logic. So far, so good. Okay. Saan na tayo? Okay. So far, so good, ha? Tingnan ko lang yung inyong mga comments. Okay. Share, pa-share ng screen. Oh, senior ko na nga, ha? Okay, ha? Alright. Balik tayo dito. Aristotelian logic. Alright? Ginawa niya. Ngayon, logic comes from the Greek expression logoi, which itself is a derivative of the word logos. Nabanggit na natin. Logic as a discipline, and sabi nga natin, ano yung sabihin nun? logic, pag-aaral ng pattern or form, pero in particular, pattern or form ng reasoning. Pagka-discipline reasoning, ano? Has been first laid down by Aristotle in the form of what is today referred to as Aristotelian logic, sometimes called classic logic. Yan. Sa Ateneo, LaSalle, or UST, ang pinag-aaralan, classic logic. Yan. Alright? Classic logic, sabi nga natin, systematic, alright, treatment of deductive arguments. Sabi nga natin, gusto niya ma-systematize, maging methodical ang pag-aaral ng patterns or form of reasoning. Alright? Yan. Now, halimbawa, one kind of reasoning, ito. No secondary school diploma holders are dropouts. All college students are secondary school diploma holders. Therefore, no college students are dropouts. Oh, maayos ba yan o hindi? Yan ang tanong. Naloko na. Hindi na naman na-share. Alright. Balik tayo dito. Alright. Nabanggit na natin yan, ha? Logic involves systematic treatment of, logic as a discipline has first been laid down by Aristotle in the form of what is today referred to as Aristotelian logic, sometimes called classic logic. Now, classic logic involves systematic treatment of arguments. Yan, nabanggit na natin yan. Now, ituloy ngayon natin. Ito nga yung isang halimbawa ng katwiran, halimbawa ng isang argument, halimbawa ng isang form of reasoning. Alright? No secondary school diploma holders are dropouts. All college students are secondary school diploma holders. Therefore, no college students are dropouts. Paano mo malalaman kung maayos yan o hindi? Ang sagot, may kinalaman sa form. Alright? May kinalaman sa form. Now, si Aristotle, nag-mention ng dalawang klase ng form ng sentences. 4. A, E, I, O. Naloko na. A, E, I, O. Balikan nyo na lang yan later, ha. Binigay ko naman yan sa inyo, eh. Alright. Ano yung 4 na klase? A, E, I, O, sabi niya. Pero ginamit lang niya ito to identify, ano? A, halimbawa, A type of sentences. Example lang, ha? Let's talk about marbles. All marbles are black. Alright? That's an A type of sentence. Meron namang sentence, tawagin natin E type of sentence. Ano yung E type? Alright, balik tayo din, eh. Alright? Yan, ha? Sabi ni Aristotle, may ganitong klaseng sentence. All marbles are not black. Yan. All marbles are not black. Yan. So, kanina, affirmative. Ngayon, infirmative. Ninenegate nyo, ini-infirm nyo yung description, which is, of course, what you call your predicate. Alright? Meron naman na sentence, tinatawag natin, I sentences. Ano yung I sentences? Well, sentences like this. Alright? Some marbles are black. Yan. May ganyang sentence. Tama naman, di ba? At meron namang ganitong sentence. Ito naman yung isa. Alright. Anong klaseng sentence? Some marbles are not black. O, di ba? Some marbles are not black. Yan. Alright? So far, so good. We can actually give a name to all of these. We can call them generalizations. All right? We can call them generalizations. All right? Yan. Why? When you talk of generalizations, comes from the word genera. All right? Genera. Oh, ay, sorry. Genera. All right? Generalizations comes from the word genera. Genera is plural of the word genus. All right? Genus. All right? Genus means matalino, di ba? Niloloko lang kayo. Generalization comes from the word genera. Genera is plural of the word genus. Genus means a number of things, a bunch, a group. All right? Hindi totoo yung sinabi ko yun. Joke lang yun, ha? Baka kayo maniwala eh. All right? Genus means a number of things. Yan. Sulat na nga natin, baka magkalimutan. A number of things. Yan. And as you can see, all right? As you can see, when you say marbles, may S. Marbles may S. Marbles may S. Marbles may S. So, all marbles are black, a number of things. All marbles are not black, a number of things. Some marbles are black, a number of things. Some marbles are not black, a number of things. So, they are called generalizations. That's the reason, all right? What's a generalization? It's a sentence that involves a number of things. All right? What's a generalization? It's a sentence that involves a number of things. Now, sa totoo lang, wala akong balak turo sa inyo yung details ng Aristotelian logic. Eh. Pinapakita ko lang na pag gusto mong pag-aralan yung arguments in terms of patterns and form, ito yung ginagawa. Ano? Halimbawa, ito na nga, nakita natin. Patterns of forms of different kinds of generalizations. Alright, kita natin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright? Let me give you another example of an argument. Alright, like this argument. What argument, Prof? Alright, ito. Ito nga. Alright, take this argument. All men are mortal. Yan. Alright, Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. That's one kind of reasoning. That's one kind of argument. That's one kind of paragraph that you use to convince. You use to argue with, all right? Okay, you use it to persuade or to argue with, all right? Now, you will notice there is here, again, a generalization. All men are mortal, all right? Now, ang sinasabi ni Aristotle, kapag ang mga arguments pinag-aralan mo mabuti, yung distribution alright, of relationships. Ano ang sabi natin? Connections. Gusto nang makita kung ano yung mga connection sa looban ng isipan natin. Ganun din yon. Gusto nating makita yung mga kung ano-anong connections, alright, sa loob ng arguments. Alright? How is the first sentence connected to the second argument? How is the first sentence connected to the second sentence? How is the second sentence connected to the third sentence? Yun ang gusto nating makita connections. Alright? At ang sinasabi ni Aristotle, again, ulitin natin, ang sinasabi ni Aristotle, if you study carefully these connections, you will see a pattern. Pero, wag na nating pag-usapan yung nakita niya mga patterns. Binigyan niya ng mga pangalan, kung ano-anong rules. Alright? Balik tayo rito. Gusto nating makita yung mga connections in our minds. Alright? In our minds, the connections here. Okay? And it is by studying the sentences within our, alright, it is by studying what? The sentences, yan. Within our arguments. Alright, by studying the connections between the sentences within our arguments, doon natin makikita yung rules by which we can say, alright, by which we can say, alin yung maayos, alright, maayos, at hindi maayos na katwiran. Alright, or reasoning. Hindi maayos na reasoning. Alright? Because remember, ang gusto nating mangyari, may isda. Ano yung isda? Your argument. Alright? Yung iyong argument ng isda natin. Gusto nating masukat. Alright? Gusto nating masukat. Para malaman natin kung alin ang maayos at hindi maayos. So, sinusukat ngayon natin yan. At ang sabi ni Aristotle, pag-aralan mo yung mga koneksyon ng ng kung ano-ano sa loob ng mga sentences with one another sa loob ng argument. Pag-aralan mo yung mga patterns ng koneksyon, pero hindi na natin pupuntahan yan. Ang sasabihin lang natin ganito. Na-discover ni Aristotle sa Aristotelian logic, alright? Using Aristotelian logic, okay. Using Aristotelian logic, yan. Using Aristotelian logic, ay naipakita ni Aristotle paano sinusukat nga ang mga arguments. Alright? Paano sinusukat. Okay. Sandali, sulat natin pagsigurado. Sa mga tuwid, naglabas si Aristotle, salamat sa pag-aaral niya, naglabas siya ng rules. Alright? Rules by which you can say which arguments are correct, which arguments are wrong. Alright? Naglabas siya ng what we call rules or norms. Alright? Or what's another word for norm? Standard. Alright? Standard or measurement. Alright? Standards or measurement. Yun ang pinalabas ni Aristotle. Naglabas siya ng panukat. Ito, panukat. Ano yung panukat? Norms, standards, measurement ng arguments. Alright? And we call them Aristotelian logic arguments. Alright? What do we call them? Aristotelian logic arguments. Alright? Sorry, Aristotelian logic rules. Aristotelian logic rules. Alright? Yun ang produkto ng kanyang pag-aaral. May mga rules na ganyan. Kaya lang may problema. Bakit? Kasi maraming klase ng arguments nga. Sabi natin, may deductive, may inductive. There's another way of looking at arguments. Kasi, di ba, remember, may arguments, may components of an argument tayo. Tama? We have components. Yes? Now, based on the components of the arguments, we can have many kinds of arguments. Based on the components. Ano ibig sabihin? Halimbawa, one of the components is what we call the premises, di ba? One of the components, what we call the premises. Okay, so what? Ito. One of the components we call the premises. Yan. Okay? Ngayon, depending on the number of premises, merong arguments na ang number of premises ay ay isa lang. Merong arguments, ang number of premises ay dalawa. May arguments na ang number of premises ay tatlo. May arguments na ang number of premises ay napakarami. In fact, walang katapusan. Alright? So, maraming klase. Ang Aristotelian logic ay dito lamang nag-a-apply. Sa arguments with two premises. We call them syllogisms. Problema. Alright? Ang ginawa ni Aristotle, ginawa niya systematic ang pag-aaral ng form of arguments para malalaman mo kung alin ang maayos at hindi. Alright? Ang ginawa ni Aristotle, pinag-aralan ng arguments para malaman mo kung alin ang maayos at hindi. Nag-produce siya ng mga norms, standards, or measurement called rules. Now, these rules, Aristotelian logic rules, alright, apply only to what? These rules apply only to syllogisms, unfortunately. Yun ang masaklap. Itong Aristotelian logic rules niya, dito lang nag-a-apply. So, sa makatuwid, pagka ang iyong argument ay may one premise lang, hindi mo na alam. Pag may 3 premises, hindi mo na alam. Pag may 4, 5 premises, hindi mo alam. Alright? Malaking problema. Pero, magmula nung panahon ni Aristotle from 300 years BC, layo, no? From 300 years BC hanggang 1800s, yan lang ang alam natin. From 300 years BC hanggang 1800s, yan lang ang alam natin. Wala tayong alam. Alright? Ang alam lang natin, manukat ng arguments para malaman kung ano yung maayos hindi, na merong dalawang premises. We call them syllogisms. Big problem. Alright? Big problem. Kasi maraming arguments more than 2 premises. Computer programs nga, million ang premises yung iba eh. Very obviously, hindi pwede yung Aristotelian logic sa information communication technology. Alright? Sa UP, ang pinag-aaralan natin, sisimulan natin next meeting. Sisimulan na natin next meeting. Ang pinag-aaralan natin, mathematical logic. Alright? Kailan na-invento yan? Noong 1800s. Well, 1860s. Yan. Pag-aaralan natin yan next meeting. Alright? Sa UP. Yan ginagawa natin. Sa Ateneo, Lasal, UST, ang ginagamit nila ay Aristotelian logic. Bakit? Kasi nung medieval times na ang mga eskwelahan sa Europe ay itinayo, ang mga may-ari ng eskwelahan ay ang may-ari simbahan. Alright? At pag-aaral ng Bible, ang ginagamit, Aristotelian logic. Yung gusto magpare, alright? Yung gusto magpare, kailangan marunong ng Aristotelian logic kasi yung pagtuturo ng theology, gumagamit ng Aristotelian logic. Yan ang situation. Kaya sa UST, alright, saan pa? Sa Lasal, alright, saan pa? Sa Ateneo, etc. Ang pinag-aaralan, Aristotelian logic. Kasi simbahan eh. Alright? Sa UP, mathematical logic. Ang Aristotelian logic, applicable lang sa arguments with 2 premises. We call them syllogisms. Ang mathematical logic, applicable sa lahat ng klase ng arguments. 2, 3, 4, 5. infinitely many kinds of arguments applicable. Alright, yun ang advantage. Kaya sa UP, ayaw na nating ubusin ng oras sa Aristotelian logic. Gusto natin gamitin mathematical logic. Yan. Pagka kayo ay, alright, balik tayo dito sa akin. Pagka kayo ay bilang graduate ng UP, lalo na galing sa akin, at kayo nag-argue sa korte or sa board or sa kung saan man, public argument between politicians, for example, pagka meron kayong ibinigay na argument na 3 premises or more, o sabihin natin 20 premises, pag nakita yan ng mga taga-Lasal at UST, ano mangyari? Mahihimatay. Bakit? Hindi nila alam kung paano i-handle. Alright? Yan ang situation natin. Kaya lang mahirap pag-aaral ng konti ang mathematical logic. Alright? Mahirap ng konti. Pero kailangan natin kasi panahon ng information communication technology. So far, ganyan ha. Hindi ko kayo pipilitin na pag-aralan nyo yung Aristotelian logic. Bagaman, at doon sa aking ibinigay na kopya ng libro, binigyan ko kayo dyan ng kopya ng libro ko. Meron diyang pag-aaral ng Aristotelian logic. Kung gusto nyo, pag-aralan nyo. Kasi kung gusto nyo magpare at mag-aral ng theology, hindi pag-aralan ninyo. Pero for our purposes, sinasabi ko lang, ay sinabi ni Aristotle, gawin nating systematic ang pag-aaral ng deductive reasoning. At ang pag-aaral ng systematic na pag-aaral ng deductive reasoning has to do with looking at the connections of the components of an argument to one another, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the word logic coming from the word logoi, meaning form, pattern. Alright? Now, balik tayo din sa aking, patapos na tayo ha, balik tayo din sa slides. Now, ang pag-aaral ng logic, ang pag-aaral ng logic is both an art and a science. Bakit? Ano yung sabi natin? Pag-aaral ng logic is both an art and a science. Bakit? Kasi science, alright, ano yung science ng logic? Alright? Sulat natin na ano yung science ng logic? Alright? Kasi sabi nga natin, naghahanap tayo ng panukat ng arguments. Alright? Gusto nating sukatin yung arguments parang isda nga. Alright? Now, the science of logic has to do with finding out what are the norms, alright, with which we can measure arguments, and that involves mathematics. The art of logic involves what? Skill. Skill in what? Well, parang skill in painting. Skill in what? Parang skill in sculpting. Parang ano? Skill in what? Skill in dancing. In this case, skill in applying the norms. Alright? Skill in application of the norms. Alright? Kasi kahit kabisado ninyo, makikita nyo later, kahit kabisado ninyo yung rules, does not follow, let me correct myself. Kahit na kabisado ninyo yung rules, ay nako, mali. Ulitin ko nga ulit. Kahit alam ninyo, ayan. Kahit alam ninyo ang rules ng maayos na katwiran, you need skills to be able to apply them. Kailangan nyo ng skill saan? Sa application. Alright? So, art has more to do with application than discovery of the rules. Alright? Art has to do with application rather than discovery. Sa science, ang ating pinag-aaralan, discovery of the rules. So, yan ngayon ang logic. It's both an art and a science. We want to discover the rules, we're doing science, and we want to be able to be skillful in applying the rules, that's called the art of logic. Ayos ang buto-buto. Alright? Next meeting, we begin dealing with mathematical logic. Alright? Now, sabi nga natin, in very simple terms, gusto lang nating makita, ano ba ang connection sa ating isipan, sa ating mga thoughts in our mind, sa isa't isa? How do they connect one another? All men are mortal. How is that connected to Socrates is a man? How is that connected to, therefore Socrates is mortal? And when you get to see how all your thoughts are connected to one another, you get to see the contradictions. And when you see the contradictions, and this is the catch, when you see the contradictions, then you can overcome them. Then you can do away with them. And what happens? You end up with a coherent, all right? And ito yung conclusion natin. You end up with a coherent mindset, which therefore will be more reliable for prediction. Okay? Ganun kasimple ang gusto natin. Alright? So, what we want to see how our thoughts are connected to one another. Alright? And then when we see the patterns, and we now know how they are connected, we get to see the contradictions. Alright? If we can bring down the contradictions, alright? Let me repeat. If we can bring down the contradictions, then what happens? We can bring up the coherence by definition. Alright? In other words, we can bring up the harmony of our thoughts. Alright? That's what's going on. Alright? Now, if you bring up your coherence and the harmony of your thoughts, guess what? You also bring up what? Your capability to predict. Alright? In other words, you bring up what? Reliability of predictions. Alright? Kaya gusto natin. Pag reliable ang predictions mo, then you have more chances of survival, more chances of being competitive, etc. Ano lang yun eh. It's that simple. Alright? Mahirap ba yun? Dali lang eh. Pababain ng contradiction, paakyatin ang coherence. Pag umakyat ang coherence, aakyat ang reliability ng prediction. So, one last example. Huli na. Ay, wala na pala eh. Next meeting na lang. But nakikita nyo na ano? Okay, magandang umaga po. Pasensya na, sumobra na naman ako ng daldal. Nakaletsi-letsi na naman yung sharing ng slides. Magandang umaga po. Salamat sa inyong lahat. Peace, man.